Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce, NFL Week 1, first football Sunday of the year. Last warning, if you are getting in on the Keenan Allen signed helmet giveaway, make sure you get on the website and make your 4 picks against the spread. Just go to KyleKirms.com. All the information's on the homepage. In this video, we got another division rivalry. There's 8 of these in Week 1. AFC North, Bengals are in Cleveland to play the Browns. Line opened up Cleveland plus 2.5. Total opens up 47.5. Let's go.
Welcome to The Sauce. The Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
So like I said, line opened at 2.5, and earlier this week it was still sitting at 2.5. Dropped down to 2 even now. Public's pretty split, 50-50 in this one, maybe slightly leaning towards the Bengals. Sharp action definitely in on Cleveland. So why don't we start with this here, because I guarantee you this is what everyone's talking about. Yes, the Browns have owned Joe Burrow over the course of his career. He's 1-4 against Cleveland, but in my opinion, that trend's over with. I mean, he beat him the last time they saw him back in December, so I personally don't care about this at all. I mean, 1-4, and the last one was a win. I'm considering that dead. I know a lot of people do, though. But let's switch it over and talk to Deshaun Watson for a second. Back in 2020, Deshaun Watson threw for over 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 picks. He was the 5th highest-rated quarterback in the NFL, according to DVOA. The reason I'm starting with these numbers is because that's the last time we really saw Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying the 6 games he played with Cleveland last year don't count. I'm just saying being thrown into the starting quarterback job in week 13 with a team you've never played with before, is that really a fair sample size to make a judgment here? I mean, there's probably a lot of good quarterbacks in this league that would struggle in those kind of circumstances. I will say it's definitely a little concerning that he finished those 6 games with Cleveland last year with a minus 16.6% DVOA and a minus 64 yards over replacement. The analytics actually suggested that the Browns would have been better off if they stuck with Jacoby Brissett. Not kidding. Here's the good news for Cleveland, though, and check this out. Their overall offensive DVOA ranks in the last few seasons are 8th, 14th, and 9th. The quarterback play during that time, they had 2 years of Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett for 11 games, and the worst 6 games of Deshaun Watson's career. Despite that quarterback play, the Browns were still in the top half of the NFL in offensive rating all 3 years and top 10 in 2 of them. So this offense has been loaded with talent surrounding the quarterback position. And Cleveland's basically bringing back the same offensive unit from last year with one addition. Elijah Moore joins Peoples-Jones and Cooper in the receiving core. So if this offense was top 14 the last 3 years, they're bringing the same unit back. They add another receiving weapon, and Deshaun Watson is starting in week 1 and had the entire offseason to prepare. I think Cleveland's offense might be good this year. But this Cincinnati Bengals defense is definitely not the cakewalk that it used to be. Lou Anarumo has done a really good job over there at DC. He took that job back in 2019. Cincinnati's defense was rated 30th overall that year, and it's been slowly improving every single season. Now, last year in 2022, the Bengals had the 11th overall rated defense, 12th against the pass, 14th against the run. As far as changes from last year, we're looking at the exact same faces we saw from the defensive front last year, but the secondary's taking a hit. Cam Taylor-Britt did play a lot last season, so he's not exactly new, but both safeties are gone. Von Bell and Jesse Bates III. Eli Apple's also gone, so the secondary definitely took some hits. Now, Lou Anarumo has given us reason to trust him, but I definitely worry about the Bengals in coverage a bit here. Those 2 new safeties, one of them's a rookie, Dax Hill. I mean, he's a first-round pick, but he's still a rookie. And the other one is Nick Scott. Last year with the Rams, Nick Scott had a coverage grade of 43.4 according to PFF. That is so bad. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about the Bengals defense and coverage. But if we're talking about the matchup between the Cleveland Browns offense and the Cincinnati Bengals defense, the main question we need answered was last game a fluke for Nick Chubb? Or did Lou Anarumo figure out a way to stop this guy? In Chubb's first 7 career games against Cincinnati, he averaged 109 yards per game rushing, 5.3 yards per carry, and 7 touchdowns total. So he averaged 1 a game. In their last matchup, where the Bengals finally beat them, Chubb had just 34 rushing on just 2.4 yards per carry. That's going to be absolutely huge. It's one thing to count on Deshaun Watson to take advantage of the new Bengals secondary, but it's another thing to ask him to do it without any run support. On the other side, we've got the Bengals offense, and there's really not much to say about the Bengals offense. Obviously, they were awesome last year. 4th in overall DVOA, 7th in pass, 4th in rushing. One of the best offenses in the NFL, as I'm sure you know. And not a ton has changed here. Obviously, we still got Joe Burrow at quarterback, and yes, he's definitely playing. He still has the exact same weapons around him, and the offensive line, which took a huge step forward last year. Bengals were, by the way, in case you didn't know this, Bengals were 31st in sack rate in 2021. They jumped to 16th last year. So the Bengals offensive line, huge step forward last season. And that same offensive line should be even better this year. I know in this graphic it looks like there's 2 new offensive tackles, but there's not. Jonah Williams is just switching sides. He played left tackle last year. Now he's switching over to the right side. Why? Because the Bengals made a big signing in free agency, bringing in Orlando Brown Jr. from the Chiefs. So the Bengals offensive line, huge step forward last year. I expect another step forward this year. They're matched up against the Browns defense that they just fell off a cliff last year, man. I mean, here are the stat categories that saw the most dramatic drops. Overall DVOA, they went from 11th to 23rd. Adjusted line yards, they went from 14th to 28th. And pressure rate, 19th to 29th. I know all the Browns drama was surrounding Deshaun Watson, but the defensive fall off and what was going on with that defense probably should have been the main talking point if you ask me. Just last year alone, we saw Myles Garrett get into a near fatal car accident. Clowney opted out from the team. He just bailed on him. We saw Delpit get suspended. We saw that guy Winfrey get suspended. Myles Garrett even got suspended for a drive. Defensive coordinator got fired. There was a ton of drama on that defense. And on top of all of that, they had serious injury concerns as well. Kind of similar to the Chargers defense last year, where they were almost too many injuries to even try to evaluate the unit. Look at the linebacking core. The 3 Cleveland Browns linebackers missed a combined 25 games between them. So what did they do to fix things? Well, they hired Jim Schwartz as defensive coordinator back in January. That's solid. And they were very aggressive in free agency as well. I mean, basically, to sum it up, if Myles Garrett is on your defensive line, you should never be bottom 5 in pressure rate. That just shouldn't happen. Obviously, the GM was well aware of that, and he made moves accordingly. He brought in edge rusher Za'Darius Smith. You probably remember him from the Packers. He was on the Vikings last year. They also brought in that pass rusher Okoronkwo. He's not on this graphic because he's technically the 3rd DN, but he'll see a lot of snaps. They also brought in former Vikings defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson, so he addressed the defensive front. He addressed the pass rush. I fully expect the Browns defense to be back where they were back in 2021 before all the bullshit. But are they good enough to stop a healthy Cincinnati Bengals offense? In my opinion, the answer is still no. Now that Joe Burrow's definitely confirmed playing, I don't care how many sharps are on Cleveland. I don't care how square it is. I'm rocking with Cincy, man. The Cover Kings. Give me the Bengals -2. Make sure you tune into the live show, 11 a.m. We're going through all 16 games. It'll be me and Prop Beaver. We'll have some fun, make our final decisions, check out the line movement. That's 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. NFL Week 1, first football Sunday of the year. Let's have ourselves a good one. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.